This is just me seeing the film fully and just my initial thoughts on it and how it's going to impact Dune. Well, I'll say this, it's very beautiful. The sound quality is amazing. Cinematography is incredible, and the sets are very powerful and they look great. It's very derivative. It's actually stealing a lot from Kubrick and AI, so there's that. He's also taking stuff from other people. It's fine, especially the holograms. I felt he was really stealing, frankly, from Star Trek Voyager and some other science fiction shows. All right, so those are the good points. It looks great, and even most of the performances I found fairly well done, although it's a very particular style of acting I think he wanted. Like, for instance, Jared Leto, I found really, really annoying, insufferable. However, I think that's the character. But let's just say when he does a very special scene with another actor, I was just like, I didn't care. This is one of those films where I admired more what it was trying to do in conception, but as far as the actual film itself, it felt a bit of a slog and very uninteresting in large patches. It starts off
Turn
good
memory
and it
into a
has a bit of
product.
kinetic energy with Dave Bautista in the beginning, but then it kind of just trails off. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big Ryan Gosling fan. And this pretty much nails the coffin on whether I think he's a good performer or a good actor. I just don't think he is. I can sometimes surpass my anti Gosling bias. Like, I admire what he did with Drive and Nicholas, but overall, I just don't find him very engaging as a protagonist. A lot of the narrative is focused on, well, what will happen to Kay? I mean, I that's how little impression he left on me. I don't even remember his whatever his thing is. And Joy, his companion, was a little bit more interesting, but overall, I just didn't like the tack they took with the story. It is technically a sequel to Blade Runner, but it just felt so different. And I just don't think they caught the spirit, much less the excitement or interesting philosophical puzzles that the first one did, and the way it was integrated with the action with Ford. Because really, although I did like Ford, I really found the minor characters way more interesting. And this doesn't really replicate that. It just feels more like things happen, people speak. There's a lot of visual cleverness in the way he uses holograms and the mise en scène. I would say it's rewarding and worth checking out. Again, if you don't care about the plot or narration. But in terms of Dune, I'm not shaken in my confidence he's going to make a great film. And I even think the set design is going to give us a bit of a preview of what he intends to do with Dune. But I will say the downside is he may go a little overboard with long takes, letting the dialogue go on a little bit too much, and not condensing or editing, I think, more precisely than he should. So for me, it's kind of a mixed bag. It does show he is a very great director. This is some of Deacon's best work. So at the visual level, we're going to get something incredibly impressive. But when it comes to pulling it together in a much more kinetic, cohesive narrative style, I still think he needs a lot of work, and although there's a very great Kubrickian strain to his work, which I admire, I think he also puts too much emphasis on the bad Kubrick, with it's just like, we're just going to have a long take to have a long take. We're just going to keep the camera focused on something just to keep the camera focused on something. In other words, he's just kind of boring for boring's sake, and that I found a little bit too annoying at times. But again, these are just initial thoughts and reactions. I'm going to do a much more considered essay soon enough. So I'm still very confident we're going to at least get with Dune a very visually entrancing experience. But will it in places be extremely boring for no reason? Yeah, I think that's kind of the downside from seeing Blade Runner. He's going to be needlessly boring for no reason at all and just put on the, stretch out the running time, even though it's not necessary. But I think the most of the film will be incredible and I'll love seeing it. But yeah, he's still very mixed as a narrative director. And those are my thoughts. Thanks for listening.